It's the podcast. What's the name of the podcast, you might be thinking?
In the buff.
It's in the buff. It's in the buff.
What's in the buff?
In the buff?
We do buff stuff down here.
Is the audience in the buff?
The podcast is... So I've got some stuff I want to talk about.
Hold on, before we start talking about it, it's Thanksgiving on the day that this came out.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it is.
Are we not taking the day off?
You know, actually, that's crazy. I haven't eaten anything today.
All I've eaten is pumpkin pie.
I do work today, and then I'll be gorging myself on Brussels sprouts.
Hold on. You didn't eat your friend that you went out to dinner with?
No, that was brunch.
Oh, let's
What?
Well, would you like to start there, Chris?
What?
What about this little liaison? This little rendezvous.
I went to brunch with a friend.
This little meetup.
Who names the kid Liaison?
Jesus. That reminds me of somebody I worked with, and their name was Unique.
What was it?
Go ahead.
I'm going to punch you.
Joke's on you. John is miles and miles away from you, and you don't have a car. So,
Damn it.
I've had a very eventful weekend, and it's why I'm feeling a little under the weather, a little tired, slightly exhausted. This weekend, on Saturday, was the Octennial Wintermute Friendsgiving and Dinner and Jamboree.
And this is about the AI from Neuromancer.
So, it is about, we had a big LAN party where we all connected into the Mother Network and transcended into artificial intelligence.
Interesting.
So you
And then
are an AI.
and then we had pumpkin pie afterwards.
Artificial?
Nice.
AI. What's the A
You can't
stand
do
for?
this joke. They've been discredited. They
That's
were
fair.
racist, apparently.
Well, probably not back then.
Have you not heard this whole hullabaloo about Rooster Teeth?
Oh, we definitely
No.
talked about it.
I never watched Rooster Teeth, so I'd never
I mean,
pay attention.
I don't watch
You
it
guys
either,
have
but
talked
it's on the
about it.
fringes of my attention.
Death of the author. Death of the
I
author.
agree,
Author
I
of
agree.
intent.
I still enjoyed it.
Anyway,
Speaking of death of the author, that one guy who made Ruby died.
Oh yeah, that was a while ago, wasn't it?
Oh wow.
Scott, that was like
That was a
8
while
years
ago.
ago.
But he is dead, and he is an author. Kind of.
I guess, accurate
20 years
statement.
ago.
I don't think that's what they mean.
Is it not?
Lots
Is
of
it
authors are
not?
dead.
Is it death
Regardless.
to the author?
Oh my god. Cody, what? Finish your...
I'm trying to
your
talk.
thought.
So I had a whole bunch of my friends over to dinner at another person's house because I wasn't going to fit 20 people in my one-bedroom apartment.
Did you bring the chairs that you worked so hard on?
Why would I bring the chairs? That's one of the reasons why I hosted it at somebody else's
You worked so
apartment.
hard on them. You should still show them off.
Well, when somebody shows up, maybe I'll show them then. But it was a long day of cooking turkey and ham and macaroni and cheese, and we just had a lot of fun hanging out, some drinking. I had one of my friends who came for this was her first time coming.
Good for her.
She she's like a little insane. She's like a crazy person,
All right.
but not
Okay.
But we say that jokingly. But she is very rambunctious and social. And she texted me this morning saying, "I am so sorry about how I acted last night. You probably think I'm such a fool. I swear I only had a few sips of alcohol, so I think I'm just a trash person. You don't feel obligated to invite me to the next Friendsgiving if you don't want me there." And I'm like, listen, one of my friends exposed his penis at the dinner table for anybody who wanted to see. If you're a trash person, you're in fine company.
Oh my god.
So,
sausage isn't a traditional Thanksgiving meal.
I was talking about his actual penis. That wasn't a euphemism for sausage.
Yes.
A reverse euphemism. What really...
How big was it?
The important questions.
I
the
did not
important
partake.
questions.
I did not look.
Why not?
He did not
probably
Are you
inhale.
self-conscious?
He was on the other side of the table, and I couldn't
disagree.
see.
Okay, so it wasn't that big.
Oh, that's a good takeaway from that.
The big surprise came after dinner when a whole bunch of friends wanted to go do an after party.
Okay.
And I'm like, I was kind of debating about whether to do it. I'd been drinking since like 10 in the morning
Hell yeah.
already, and then drinking through dinner. And I was really tired, being on my feet all day, hosting. But I decided, what the hell? Let's go. So we get to this bar. It's a divey bar. I don't know if you guys have been there,
I definitely haven't.
but it's up near First Street in downtown. And I get there around like 11:30, and we start playing some pool. There's 5 of us there. And there's this, cute lady sitting all alone at a table by herself.
Ooh.
And a lot of my friends look like they're having seizures, trying to be like, hey, you gonna go talk to her? And I'm like, well, she is very attractive. And one of my friends, the perfect wingman, goes up, introduces himself, gets her to come back to our group, and we're talking, getting along great. And then we finish playing pool, and we just kind of go sit down at a table, and we're talking some more. Things are, we're having fun. And then all of a sudden, like this 55-year-old man just appears at our table, and he just starts talking to us. Like, doesn't even like introduce himself. He just says, "Do you see that woman over there?" And he points across the bar. And he's like, "I've been waiting 45 fucking years to kiss that woman." And then some lady walks into this bar and has already kissed her twice tonight.
Damn, dude.
And at this point, this is already more strangers that I have talked to in this bar prior combined. And I've got 2 in one night. And I'm just thinking, like, dude, I think that's unfortunate, but I don't know what it has to do with us. I think he just, like, wanted to vent.
Wow.
And then later, we were playing some darts, and this other lady walks into the bar, who I believe canonically is the lady that was macking on that dude's woman.
Well, the woman
who's been hung up on for 4.5 decades. Right. And this woman is not attractive, reeks of cigarettes,
Jesus,
and comes in with a man who was certainly indulging in things much stronger than cigarettes for most of his adult life. And she just starts hitting on all of us, like men and women.
Damn.
And I'm like, what is happening tonight? Like, we were just getting harassed by so many people.
It's that Thanksgiving energy.
what is this?
Yeah, it was a Friendsgiving Day miracle.
So I can't tell. Were you enjoying the harassment or not?
No,
But you call
she
it
was
a
also
miracle.
she was. Yeah, well, miracles don't have to be good things.
I
think.
I need you to tell me that that's a false statement. Okay.
Wait, what? Hold on. What is the antonym?
I
to
feel like
miracle?
that just shuttered the foundation of my life.
Like a miracle is just like an impossible event, right?
I don't know.
I don't think there's any rule that says it has to be a positive
I mean,
thing.
Miracles are a good thing.
I'm just gonna say, it's really, really unlikely that Earth gets hit by an asteroid, and if it happens, I won't say it's a miracle.
I would.
All right.
But I think that's just because I'm an optimist.
All right. Think about how good we could be, how good whatever species is left will be 100 years from now. Well, 100 million years. 100 billion.
I don't plan on living that long.
I do. I'm going to get uploaded.
Oh, are
Yeah.
you? You are going to transcend?
That's just what I deserve.
Okay.
I don't deserve to rest, you know? I don't deserve the peace of the grave.
So, Cody, the real question is, did you get numbers?
So, no. And for 3 major reasons.
Okay.
One, she was very, very attractive, but
The swinger?
she was also waving some red flags around.
Okay.
Like she was
Maybe
really
she was trying
into
to teach you
like.
semaphore. Thanks for laughing.
I laughed because I
man.
understood the joke. She was really into EDM and rave culture.
Yeah.
I knew a guy like that in college.
Yeah. Would you have dated him?
No.
See,
I would get LSD off of him.
Oh,
what
would you?
in the world?
He showed me LSD one day. It doesn't matter.
Hold on.
So
I don't know if I should ask this, but just for clarification, are you saying you would have or you did?
In retrospective, I would have.
But you didn't.
I could have, but I
You
didn't.
probably shouldn't have.
I don't think you can handle
Probably.
that kind of stuff.
Chris, did
I
you
believe in
listen
you, Chris.
to the last... Oh.
There
Chris,
you go.
did you listen to the last podcast that you edited?
I did.
That you edited.
But like, if I was at a rave and I was surrounded by people that I knew,
Chris.
who were also incredibly high,
Chris.
So you're saying you're very
I'd probably
susceptible
be
to
worse.
peer pressure.
I
He really
Chris.
is. I can manipulate him so easily.
No, Chris, you learned this lesson. We weren't around a lot of people. We weren't around anybody that we knew. But we're too old for that now.
No, well, this was back at this was like 6 years ago.
Oh, John, like, you don't have to put yourself down like that. Sure, you're in the winter of your youth, but it's not like
Oh.
you're too old to have some fun.
This is a long winter.
Listen, alright, we're derailing hard.
No,
you didn't
that
get to your 3.
That was not my scene.
You didn't get to your 3
Oh,
major reasons.
Right,
but-
right. So
Well, we're still
red flag-
derailed.
oh.
Hold on, shut up. We're still we're
We
still
haven't
derailed.
we haven't righted the rails yet.
Yeah. When we went to Kentucky, we went to what we thought was a dive bar. That was just
You
like a
and
fucking
Chris.
hole in the wall.
You and Chris.
Yeah,
did
me and
this.
Chris. And like it was packed with college students.
And it was not a good
And
idea.
I'm like going back to kind of scout what's going on, like get an idea of the place. And in the back of the area is just a fucking EDM dance floor. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is exactly what I think Chris wanted. And this is the kind of place where I make very bad decisions. And I go back to find Chris and I'm like, hey man, let's go back here, take a look at this, get a few drinks in us, and decide what we're gonna do, okay? And as soon as he does get to go back there, we're back there for like 2 minutes, and then he texts me. He doesn't even say it. He just texts me and says,
It was very loud.
he just texts me and says, "This is too much."
Oh,
I'm
Chris.
I'm weak, okay? It's not my lifestyle. But if I was 22
I would have
again,
been fighting another pile of snow.
That's how old she was.
Oh,
that's a little young.
is
For
it?
you, maybe.
That's true.
But I'm much, much younger than you guys.
You're only a year younger than Chris.
But 2 years younger than you.
Right.
You said she's 22?
Yeah.
I'd spend a couple months with that.
Oh my god, I
See,
hate
John,
I hate
John
this
understands.
conversation. I hate it so much.
Okay, red flags.
So point number 1, a couple of red flags. She was also very just airheaded. I think she was actually high at the time.
okay.
Number 2, point 2, I'm a pleb beta cuck pussy who wouldn't commit. And then 3, I think she was more interested in one of my female friends who was there.
Right.
And she did get digits. So
Oh, okay.
it wasn't a complete loss.
For her.
Right.
Yes.
But, I'm friends with her, so, once they're done, I'll be right there.
Yeah, okay, keep telling yourself that.
Cody,
What is this?
Cody, you do you, okay? I fully encourage you to be yourself.
I'm gonna try and get her to start going rock climbing.
Yeah? Is she gonna climb your rock hard cock?
Okay, great.
All right. Let's
Good
not
God,
have...
John.
Sorry.
Let's not...
Sorry, that might have been a little bit too much, guys. My bad.
No.
Let's not mix psychedelics and rock climbing.
That's probably a good idea.
I don't think psychedelics...
You gotta be very safety conscious.
Psychedelics aren't a good mix with any activity that requires movement, I feel.
But they're popular at raves, and it's all dancing.
That's because people make poor decisions.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I knew that.
Like, if you think the floor is literally lava, it's not probably not good to dance on it. That's all I'm saying.
What sort of poor decisions have you made, Chris?
Recently?
Just in general, or maybe on the dance floor. Take your pick.
Well, I was going to... I went to go have a glass of wine today, and I ended up having 2 and 3 ciders.
Could I ask you a question real quick? Are you a 45-year-old spinster?
I feel like
Okay. What kind of wine?
it. Pinot Grigio.
I knew you were going to say it. I just felt it in my bones that you were going to say Pinot Grigio. It's just like one of those wines that... Like, I think you are the most likely out of all of us. Of course you are. What am I talking about? It's not controversial to say this. You're the most likely out of all of us to literally become a crazy cat lady.
It's already in the making.
Have a cat.
And it's the year 2022.
And if you
can just
keep
say I'm a
taking
woman
LSD, you're gonna turn crazy.
I thought LSD was prescribed to help fix like schizophrenia, or is that lithium?
You're
That's
thinking of lithium.
You're thinking of lithium. Also, people are microdosing psilocybin now to cure depression. And I think schizophrenia.
Okay.
Well, yeah, because big surprise, antidepressants don't actually work.
Yeah.
All of those studies were just fabricated.
It made a lot of money, though.
Yep,
So
and that's honestly,
Still
We
made
gotta
a
give
lot
him
of
credit
money.
there.
that's
Wait, hold on. So was that a placebo?
Placebos do work.
True.
No. I
Okay.
From what I no, I'm not disagreeing with placebos not or working. I'm saying like all those pharmaceutical studies with like antidepressants, it was just like they just lied. They said they worked and they actually didn't. People were still depressed.
Well, as while I was taking it, my serotonin uptake inhibitor helped me.
Well, it's hard to even measure depression anyway. That's
fair.
I'm not gonna pat the frickin' big pharma on the back guys. They're the bad guys. I will say that big pharma,
unless
bad guys. But I will say, hold on.
They want to give us advertising money.
Well,
no, screw that. I'm not gonna advertise for frickin' Viagra.
Okay.
I would say it's just, I imagine if I were a doctor and I had to, or better yet, I don't know, what's the guy who makes a pill called?
And if pharmacology.
drug manufacturer.
Sure, if I worked for a drug manufacturer and I was in charge of a chemist, if I were a chemist and I was in charge of creating a medicine that made someone feel less sad, how do I measure that?
Wouldn't you just make cocaine and become Walter White?
That was meth. Did you not watch the show?
I only watched the first episode.
Jesus. Even in the first episode, it was meth. It was meth in the first episode, Chris.
Scott, we've been through this. I'm an idiot.
Good Lord. And
Can't
there's
remember
boobs in
things.
that episode. Isn't that wonderful?
There was only that episode, if I remember.
Don't trust you. Let me go double
only
check.
that one. You can double check. You can triple
Oh
check.
no, he's gonna be gone for like an hour.
AMC was really pushing the envelope for that series premiere
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad there were no nude zombies
in The Walking
in
Dead
Breaking Bad.
or in Breaking Bad. Yeah, I
Because it wouldn't have fit the setting.
Yeah, it'd be like if all of a sudden zombies started invading Albuquerque, you would have been like, this went in a very different direction from what I was
There is,
thinking.
not to go back to the fan theories, there is a fan theory that says Walter White's meth is what started the Walking Dead virus.
See, these are what I think of as bad fan theories.
Yeah, that one's dumb.
Because they're just dumb. Like, other bad fan theories I think of are when the whole theory is, hey, that's the same actor.
I can't tell if we're just
Classic-
making a culmination of all of our podcasts together, or
It's eventually just going to get to a
I
singularity.
would say, or
Oh,
we just
no.
have so few talking points that we just recycle them so quickly.
Well, I
Eventually
will say, not before we derail a little bit, the fan theory is dumb, but at the very least it has grounding in that there is an Easter egg in Walking Dead where somebody takes out a bag of blue crystalline material, and that's like intentionally an Easter egg to be the blue meth from Breaking Bad.
My fan theories that just infuriate me are ones, speaking of Breaking Bad, where it's like any fan theory that has to do with amnesia or witness protection
Mm-hmm.
are just garbage. So, like the fan theory that Walter White went into witness protection and became Hal from Malcolm in the Middle.
Or I like the one where, because both shows are kind of wishy-washy with time, Malcolm grew up to be Walter White because he was already a genius, and we never get to learn Malcolm's last name in the show. It's like a running gag that we don't know their name, in fact.
Right. But his name is Malcolm, and Walter White's name is Walter White.
Maybe his name was Malcolm Walter White. But of course, Walter's name in Breaking Bad is Walter Hartwell White.
Exactly.
It's not real, but
a definite
people like
lack
to
of Malcolm
connect things.
in that full name.
Yes.
People like to connect things.
People like to think that they think things. I don't know.
You know, speaking of witness protection,
Oh, where's he going with this?
Yep.
when you're a part of a group
Oh man, you had a better transition than
and you
this.
have to try to leave, and you have to leave, you go into witness protection.
I don't think
But-
this has ever once happened with what you're talking
But-
about.
They don't have witness protection for cults.
I mean, why? Okay, if you manage to leave a cult, the cult's just going to lose stuff on tracking you down.
Oh, that's fair.
Like, the whole thing is to make you think you can't leave. And also, they make you, so you are so dependent on them because now we're just getting into it. Isn't that fun? Because I'm just mad at your segue. I'm mad at your segue.
It was one of your weaker segues, Chris.
He wants to talk about cults, everybody. And I like talking about cults. But I was thinking about this as well, all this week. I could fuck you guys up on cults.
Oh, okay. That's
Like,
not what I thought was going to be
but
said
is
at
it-
all.
Is that this kind of podcast? Like, that's the question I've been wrestling with. You know what I mean? There is some messed up shit that I know about.
I mean, as long as it's YouTube friendly,
I
gotta get
mean,
that ad revenue.
It isn't.
Oh,
There's a lot of buzzwords in what I'm thinking of in particular that specifically demonetize videos.
well, we're past the first 10 minutes.
But the point is, I feel like the most compelling cults are the ones that are hard to talk about. It's boring to say, this is coming from me, I find Heaven's Gate quite boring because, as awful as what I'm about to say sounds, I find it boring because it was only like 38 people in total that committed die in Minecraft.
And they were all willing. They were all fully consensual.
Well, that's the thing. That's the tough part. Is
coercion consent?
I wouldn't even call it coercion. It was like the
Dude,
person in charge was Marshall Applewhite,
hold on.
I think his name
Can you
was.
do me a favor?
Yeah.
You said committed die in Minecraft.
Yes.
I'm not understanding.
This
That's
is one
fine.
of those
We'll
things.
explain it to you. We'll explain it to you, champ, afterwards
This is
when
one of
you're
those
older.
things. YouTube doesn't like when you say certain words.
Oh, I think I understand now.
And the Marshall Apple cult leaders in general are interesting because you have this kind of conversation. I don't like to. You and I were talking about this recently, Cody. I don't like to blame the cult members usually because people go to certain places in their head, and I feel that 9 times out of 10 with cult leaders, they either subconsciously or actively seek out those people who they can just zero in on. They're like, that guy, he's a mark, and I can get him good.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's kind of like with drug addicts.
Yeah, it really is.
Like, you can blame somebody for getting addicted to drugs, but like once they're in the system, it's like they're not under their own power anymore.
It's also similar to the crime and gangland activity situation.
Sure. Once you're in, you're in.
Once you're in, you can't. It's so hard. Like, that's like the common, we got to get out of the hood, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so hard because that's just the way it is. And I wish I were smarter and I could do something to help the world, but I can't. So I'm making a podcast. Marshall Applegate. White? Marshall Applewhite, I do not believe was even close to approaching what I would consider a perfect Svengali. I don't even really believe in Svengalis, the idea of total control over someone else's mind. Like, just saying the right words to make them do what you want. I don't really believe in that, and I definitely don't think Marshall Applewhite was that. But he has there's plenty of tapes. Man, this is what I was wrestling with. So much of this is documented, and we could just show you or let you hear audio from these cults. Marshall Applewhite has these whole, there's one whole freaking huge, disgusting video on YouTube where he just talks about how the earth is about to be recycled and we need to vacate our vehicles, which is what he called our bodies. And we could play that for you right now. I'm pretty sure without fear of
what, is he going to make a copyright claim against us?
Yeah, I don't think he can. Heaven's Gate is still around, though. There are active members.
Oh, yeah, they even have a website, don't they?
Yeah.
Chris, do you want to link to their website in the description?
Whoa.
We'll throw them some traffic.
This is news to me.
And
yeah, isn't there like 2 members? There's like 2 active members.
I don't know. And then
there was like 2 that didn't unalive themselves back during the when they got aboard the Comet.
Right.
And I think those 2 are the ones running things.
Actually, also, Marshall Applewhite is a great example for my further. It's not really a theory. I think this is a pretty well understood phenomena with cults, that the cult leader is like trying to make copies of himself, and to further that, it's like
a tulpa.
Not really. No.
Oh.
A tulpa is a thought form energy ghost. What I'm saying
that's
is
your clone.
It's like the mind, or the cult leader is extending his self to the rest of the cult rather than making clones of himself. He's like making the rest of the cult him.
Mm-hmm.
Which is to say, he is like a collective. And I think that works out pretty well when what happened. Where so the ones who were in charge were him and his wife, Bonnie Nettles, I believe her name was. And she died of cancer and didn't want to do treatment because of their old beliefs and whatnot. So she just passed away, and he got real sad. But then he started like coming up with stuff like, oh, she is now, in space, living her best life. Like, they loved sci-fi at the beginning. Like, that was like the draw. It's similar to Om Shinrikyo, actually, where they just got a bunch of nerds, and then, like, I'm sure there's so many stories in Heaven's Gate where it's a nerd saw other nerds and was hanging out with these other nerds, and then he's like, these are my friends. And then it was like the classic metaphor of a frog in water, where you slowly turn up the temperature.
it's also just like picking people off from the fringes of society, people who are kind of outcast or not in the kind of the mainstream crowds.
So, and that's another thing cults do as well. Rather than picking people off, people just get so good at finding marks, and you get one, and you start like putting in these messages of stuff like, your family doesn't matter. We're your family now. You don't need your money. Give me your money. Let me handle it. It just stresses you out anyway. Let me handle it. I'll give you what to eat. I'll give you what to buy. It's fine. I'll handle your money. And so then all of a sudden, you're just this person in this exceptionally dangerous situation with no money and no connections except for the cult. And I feel real bad for those people.
You're just completely dependent.
Yeah.
Because they have stripped away all of your other support structures in life.
But then, on the other hand, I'm an asshole, right? And I see these people and I'm like, how in God's name did you let this happen to yourself?
I was thinking something similar, to the point where I'm like, we should try and set up an experiment. We should, start perusing some of the lesser known message boards on the internet and see if we can get picked up as a mark for for potential cult initiation.
Oh my God, dude.
I want to see if I'm interested to know if I could get had. If I could got.
If I were super rich, like this will never happen. If I were super rich, I would go into Scientology just to see what's going on.
Yeah. It'd be pretty. It'd be pretty.
I don't know if this is controversial to say. They're a fucking cult. Fuck them. They're terrible.
The words expressed by Scott March do not reflect the views and opinions of Double Buff Productions.
The difference between a cult and a religion is a 0 on the number of members.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So,
well, that's cogent.
So I don't have a whole bunch of knowledge or experience with cults. But the way that you've just sat here and described them, the only thing that I can think about that immediately comes to mind, that's cult-like.
League of Legends.
No, it's not League of Legends.
Oh.
It's actually Red Dead 2.
Oh.
I've always kind of
there
thought
are a couple
about
cults.
what Dutch did with the group. Kind of made it cult-like.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
What?
I've talked about this. The Dutch Vanderlyn gang is so similar to the Manson family, just minus the sex.
And well, you brought it up earlier in the podcast when we were talking about parallels to, getting into cults. We were talking about drug addiction and we were talking about gangs.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's absolutely. Dutch was the sole provider for the gang.
Yep.
And they just had it in their heads that without Dutch, they were nothing.
Arthur?
But it...
And Arthur's main arc in the game is realizing that is not true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's so satisfying to see him go on that journey as well. Not to suck Red Dead's dick like it needs it.
It could use a couple of more slobbers.
Yeah. It's deserved.
I guess the psychology aspect of it is so interesting because you can very clearly tell, like, even early on, that Dutch is nothing without them. But it's so, like, you don't see any of the characters talk about it.
And, like, you talk about the psychology. I think you've talked before about how you could see yourself being a psychologist, right? How you're so interested in just people watching and seeing the decisions they make and the reasons they make those decisions. Yeah. Because of that, I think cults, you would love to get like knee deep in.
See, that's really interesting because I'm like afraid, really.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about like this whole joking of like going and finding these 6 foot deep websites and like Reddit pages. Like, all of a sudden I just disappear. I'm gone from the world.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that
you guys find me in like Oklahoma because I sold my house and moved on?
But because you're afraid that they will convince you.
No, because I have been convinced.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
Already. We should start like a TikTok trend to
Oh.
see how quickly you can get inducted into a cult.
Where do
That's-
you even begin?
That is so dangerous, Cody. Like, I don't even want to joke about that. So many people would suffer so much in real life if we did
Honestly-
We have a responsibility.
Honestly, TikTok is the greatest play China ever pulled on the United
that.
States.
Yeah. It might genuinely be a psyop at destabilization.
I think maybe it's just because I'm a curmudgeon at 27 years
Yeah.
old. I think the next generation and subsequent generations are just completely fucked.
Oh no.
Oh.
Wait, hold on. What does that say about me? Hold on a second. Am I supposed to be responsible?
What have you done to make this society a better place?
I
Are
did
you
my
doing
dailies
your
in
part?
Genshin. I woke up today and I didn't eat breakfast.
Same.
That's good.
Scott, service guarantees citizenship.
Uh-oh.
Are you doing your part?
No. No. So
Uh.
cults. You know, we could talk about the biggest cult. The US government.
Oh my.
There we go.
Not really.
Yo, he's dropping fucking bombshells on cult names?
In that, you know, some of the behaviors are similar.
It's
So
all
there
about
was a time.
Oh.
Go ahead.
it's all about adaptation. Once we transition to a TikTok dance-based economy and, you know, get rid of our need for paper currency or any sort of financial banking structures, then once we get through that transition phase, things are going to be a little rough. I really think after that transition phase, things are going to get a lot worse.
Oh.
Okay.
And then just downhill from
When
there.
does it get...
Right.
Okay.
Circling back to cults a little bit. If you want, listener, I encourage you to do your own research. The problem with cults, and I'm talking to you as well, John, with this, if you get interested in cults, like, it's kind of a minefield of bad days. Where
Ooh.
there are the fun ones, like, I would loop Heaven's Gate into a fun cult. All in all, not a lot of damage, not a lot of suffering, just for those 38 people that died, pretty much, and their families, which sucks. It's so tragic that happened to them, that those people got put into that mindset where they thought that was the best course of action. That's so awful. But I'm going to loop it into the fun one, because they're pretty wacky before the end. It was, of course, in that end, of course, it has to be preceded by wackiness. And because how did we get there? But then there's the not so wacky ones. Like the famous one that's really not wacky at all is the People's Temple with Jim Jones.
Yeah.
And
Probably the most famous case.
probably
After maybe like the Manson family.
Yeah, I think the most just completely messed up cult that I've researched was, I think, called Children of God. And I don't really
That sounds
want
familiar.
I don't want to talk about it a lot.
Mhm.
Let's just say there's a lot of bad stuff happening to people who were not old enough.
Okay.
And but Jim Jones has those, like, Jim Jones is a freaking, it's like the world needed a cult leader and he was created because of it.
Just like a greatest hits compilation.
Exactly. And he has this weird affectation. That's another thing cult leaders really do. And you'll notice this with Marshall Applewhite as well. When you're just listening to them talk, like, they have just like this, it's like they're casting a spell or something over you. They just have this weird cadence over the way they speak, and it just lulls you into this weird place in your head if you let it. And sometimes you don't even know you're letting it. And it's odd. But especially Jim Jones, he had this weird, like, Southern black lady affectation. And it's so odd, but it worked. 900 people died in Minecraft. And he has, all of it's recorded. The Jonestown tapes are recorded. You can go listen to them right now.
You've played them for
The
me.
frickin' I'm gonna say this. The tape, the bad one, the way it starts is just, he sets the tone so perfectly
yeah.
right from the get-go. And he just goes, how very much I've loved you. How very much. And as soon as he says those words, and you're like, oh, that's what I'm watching.
Mm-hmm.
I know where this is going. And there's
Oh
just babies crying, and it's awful. But man, I find it so fascinating.
What was really
sends like chills down my spine.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh god, that's so.
What's really fascinating about Jonestown, one of the aspects of it, is that final unalivening event wasn't compulsory, as far as I know, from what I remember you telling me. Like, there were people there who were like, no thanks, no thank you.
Well,
And
it's conflictions, right? So we have survivors who said, I don't want to do this. And people with guns, because they of course, all cults, not all, but a lot of cults just stockpile weapons.
Once you're transporting 900 people to French Guiana,
Yeah.
things have escalated.
But
Yeah.
like, these people with guns would just be like, live your life. And they would just point them to the jungle. And they just waded into the jungle and somehow lived. And, but then at the same time, there were plenty of bodies with bent and broken needles stuck in them, implying that they were jabbed by force.
I see. They didn't drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. It was Flavor Aid, actually.
I know.
Gatorade?
They couldn't even spring for the frickin' Kool-Aid. Really?
They were in South America. You think
Where do they get the Flavor Aid then?
They sell Flavor Aid like it's really big amongst the French.
Is that true?
Sure.
Let's
Let's say it is.
Why not? And, well, they got it. It's actually kind of funny. Somebody found like a receipt, and it was literally like, Flavor Aid, sugar, 5 pounds of cyanide.
God.
And then they were able to get it. I don't know. I guess things were just easier. Also, there's this weird thing with Jonestown. I'm sure if any listener has listened to last podcast on the left, they talk about this at depth. There's this weird thing with Jim Jones, and he sold monkeys.
I remember you telling me this.
This PBS documentary of this woman who's like, oh, my friend, she was one of the 900. She actually met Jim Jones because her monkey had hung itself, and she wanted to get a new monkey.
Oh my god.
Wait, what was she doing to that monkey? Why'd the monkey kill itself?
She was giving it antidepressants and they weren't working.
Oh, I see. It's these
The
Big Pharma again.
Pharma was lying.
Jesus. It's reasons like, it's situations like that make me so, like the little mini stories inside the story that, I talk about this a lot with D&D, to sound like a huge nerd right now.
Oh.
I like it when my characters feel like people, and when I learn about serial killer, when I learn about an event, a murder, it's hard to nail down the people in it. It's because it's about the event. But when I learn about serial killers and cult leaders, it's like I'm building the person in my head. I see what they are and what they did and the decisions they made to get there. And it's more interesting to me. And I feel the same about my D&D characters. I don't want an event. I don't want, I saved the city, to be my character. I want him to be a person. Or she. And I wonder if that's...
Can we do a quick tangent?
Yeah.
About true crime and its negative effects on the collective psychology of the population.
Sure, I know nothing about this.
Well, I disagree because you have a pretty extensive knowledge of true crime.
Sure.
But I feel like recently, true crime has just become like a genre that you would just watch on like Netflix or something.
I will say, this is a comment, this is again a thing they broach on last podcast a lot. So, people always ask the people on last podcast, why true crime now? And it's kind of become a meme for them at this point where they'll be talking about a story from the 1800s, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And we learn that, you know, in the story, this actually happened in Jack the Ripper. People had set up barricades and were charging tolls to look at the crime scene. Why true crime now? That's the joke.
I see. Because it was also true crime then.
Yeah.
It's always been true crime.
But at the same time, it's hard to gauge because it's so easy to access. If I wanted to find out about, you know, any serial killer right now, like you said, I could just type the word into Google and I know everything I could about them.
Well, it's not necessarily wanting to gain knowledge about a certain subject. Right. I feel like it is the trivialization of the seriousness of the situation,
right,
that I take umbrage with. Like, people consume true crime like it's a television show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
And it's not, I feel like it's getting to a point where it's not being given the gravity that it deserves. Like, these are real people who are actually dead, and their families have suffered for these crimes. But especially like with this new Dahmer show,
I was about to
it's
say,
like, sure, for sure. Actually, no, not sure. How many more movies about Jeffrey Dahmer do we need?
Yeah,
you know.
Also, a couple of years ago, there was that movie about Ted Bundy. I think it was just called Bundy, something like that.
Yeah.
Starring Zac Efron was in it.
Yeah,
and he was so cute. And, like, I was watching it the whole time, because I'm a freaking sheep, I guess. I watched the movie, and the whole time, I was expecting, in the movie, it to be this gritty, hard cut to him doing what he did on that mountain with those people who were not alive.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to what we were seeing him as, oh, you know, just handsome Zac Efron. No. He really did that in real life. He really went into a sorority house in Florida with a log wrapped in a cloth and beat to death in Minecraft so many people. But
exactly,
he's just like he is a character in the movie.
He's almost a caricature.
Yeah.
Of Ted Bundy.
Can I give my theory on this?
Go ahead.
So, I think it might stem from our modern lives. So where we live in, let's face it, we are safe, quote unquote, safe in our everyday lives, right?
Oh, it's like bungee jumping is what you're saying.
Yes. So we don't have to worry about getting trampled by
wildebeests,
by wild animals, or mauled to death by fucking mountain lions. And for the most part, given the percentage, right, we don't have to worry about dying from. The majority of us don't have to worry about dying from wars or from murderers, even. Mm-hmm. And so we are looking for that stimulus. There's something in our hippocampus or thalamus that says that there is danger somewhere. And so we are searching for that unconsciously. And that's why true crime and like horror films and like anything that gives us that thrill of that fear.
That's actually kind of interesting. And I thought you were going to go in a different direction. You're saying that like our brain is constantly looking for a danger, and it's like we have manipulated that into seeking out the artificial danger to like pluck that string.
Yes.
Chris, I 100% agree with what you're saying. I myself have like this macabre, morbid curiosity about things. And I enjoy it to a point. What my issue is my issue isn't with that side of human nature. My issue is with the, again, like I said, the trivialization of these things, and to a greater extent, the commercialization of it. Like with the Dahmer show that just came out, Monster: Dahmer / The Untold Story, or whatever it is. Worst name for a show ever devised.
You can't see it, but I'm jerking off right now.
Like, first off, people said, like, the creators of the show were like, you know, we're going to be very respectful about this. We're going to focus on the victims.
Bullshit.
And anybody who's watched the show knows that that's, like, not true. Like, if anything... disclaimer, I have not watched the show, but I've spoken with it to many people. Spoken about it to many people. Mm-hmm. It almost seems like they make Dahmer a sympathetic character in the narrative. And that's another thing, is it's not a retelling of life events. The show is a narrative. It's a fictionalized, dramatized version of the events.
This might be why Dahmer is a bad example for what we're talking about, because I will say, the show sucks. I have watched it. It's very, as you were saying, I find it exceptionally disrespectful to the events. But the big thing is, I believe, personally, look at me like talking like a politician or something who's trapped in a corner. I think Dahmer, in real life, Jeffrey Dahmer, the person, is one of the more, if not the most, sympathetic serial killers. There were so many signs as a kid, and just nobody did anything.
He was doomed from jump. No joke. No kidding. I understand that.
Yeah.
But again,
so I can understand the sympathy angle, at the very least.
Sure. But he also murdered all those people still?
He did.
So... But even if they did stay true to that original vision, where they were going to be very respectful about the subject matter, these actual people's actual lives, it's not going to stop people from watching the show and thinking and saying, oh, Evan Peters is so hot, I'd let him unalive me. And it's like, I see that type of rhetoric, and I'm like, is this ironic? Are we being intentionally inflammatory? Where does the irony end and the actual fetishization of true crime begin?
Well, it's interesting as well, because we have so many of these, like, mass killings, right? Mm-hmm. And people like... They hone in... Like, what's an example of one of these ones that... what's his name? I don't remember his name, but, like, people on the internet fetishize him, and they, like, send him letters. Jordan Peters? Is that his name?
Evan Peters. Nope. That's the actor from Dahmer.
I think Jordan Peters is the person I'm thinking of. Hold on. You know what? You can cut this bit out if you don't want to. I don't care. I'm going to Google it real quick. Slow computer. Somebody want to Google Jordan Peters? Or Peterson? Jordan Peterson, that sounds right.
Nope. That's the professor, the Canadian
Canada?
professor.
Yeah.
Huh?
Jordan Peterson's the like 12 Rules for Life guy.
I've never even heard of that guy.
I refuse to call anybody by a gender.
Jordan Peters.
Yeah. Does not match their chromosomes, I guess?
I can't...
No, to make a long story short, I absolutely understand that serial killers have fan clubs. And I think that is weird.
No, I'm saying like the people, not fan clubs. Like there are people who genuinely fall in love with these people, and it's like a parasocial relationship. I think it's similar.
That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. In fact, to get back into our Schultz corner, Abomination had his own fan club
Yeah.
of young
Yeah,
nubile
he
women
did.
who he bilked out of all of their fortunes to create his like spa resort. While we're on the subject, actually, the subject that I brought up, get back into the Shulk corner a little bit. I was thinking about this the other day. Is we know that the writers of Shulk made parts of the show intentionally bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it creates a situation where I'm like, you rewatch the show, and I'm like, is this intentionally bad, or is this part unintentionally bad? Like, certainly they didn't want it all to be crap. Or maybe they did. Or maybe they just weren't aware enough to realize that the parts they thought they were making in earnest were actually also bad.
The cynical part of me says they had a conversation when in the writing room, and it was like, it started out with, okay, we're going to base it on this comic that she's apparently breaking the fourth wall in. All right, we got that down. But we don't want to just carbon copy the comic. So how about this? We make it so that she fixes the show at the end. So we could just like, hold on a second, that's really cool. We could just like make the show bad. That's the cynical part of me.
Mm-hmm. No, I think the more likely explanation is that they didn't know that they weren't responsible for all of the bad parts. I think that they thought, well, these parts are good. These parts are quality, when in reality, they weren't. But the problem is, we don't know. Because they threw this spanner in the gears of, we're making parts of the show intentionally bad, and we are self-aware of that. So,
John, are you there?
I'd like to...
Yeah, I'm here.
You haven't said anything in like 40 minutes.
I haven't said anything in about 15. That's accurate.
Yeah, well, see, the thing was, he started looking up pictures of Evan Peters as Jeffrey Dahmer once we brought up the subject, and he's been kind of keeping to himself after that.
No, actually, I just sold my house.
Oh.
I'm, it's happened.
Do you have a new
Turns
name
out-
yet?
Oh, shit! Fuck!
Turns out,
Winner!
TikTok.
John wins the contest!
TikTok was the way to go. I'm
Yep.
kinda in on this, though.
Did they give you a new name?
I feel as though... Hold on. Can I say it? No. Lie to them? I can't.
Some
tell
were
you.
loud.
Well, we understand they want to kind of separate you from all of your current life.
They said something
as
big
much
is going
as
to happen in
possible.
a couple of months, so you guys might find out about it.
Also, I'm not
Oh.
really sure if this is related or not. I just got a notification saying you unfriended me. Is that what's going on there?
It wasn't me.
It wasn't
Oh, you've given them your passwords?
Yeah.
right.
Oh my
Right.
god.
So that's, I'm happy for you, John. Congratulations. I know you've always been the most competitive out of the four of us,
Yeah, it's a gift and a curse.
so I really appreciate this win.
I thought it was gonna be me.
Hold on a
I'm
second.
not
You
gonna
gave them
lie.
all your passwords, like the channel.
No, I don't have legal ownership. Never mind. Yeah.
Oh, hang on.
Uh-oh.
You
Listen,
do own the bank
we have a
accounts
problem.
for our AdSense.
Oh fuck. Oh fuck.
How are we gonna buy more mic covers?
we're gonna have to make the Patreon now.
John, are they going to at least let you keep doing the podcast?
Yeah. We got about 10 minutes left.
Oh,
Okay.
no. I think we need to shut
Okay.
this down right now and figure this out real quick.
Oh,
Patreon's a bit of a
Guys,
cult in
I'm
itself.
scared. They keep calling me.
There were a lot of cults made media. We can turn the podcast into their
The
cult.
Partridge Family.
Oh,
Om Shinrikyo had a video game and an anime.
This is not even a joke. They made music at Jonestown.
yeah,
You can buy it.
There was an album, for, what their faces.
Also,
Yeah.
Scientology, when they were on the Sea Org, the big boat, they made like jazz fusion. It's really high energy music, and they blared it all the time on the boat,
Ugh.
and I
Here-
would just get exhausted.
here's a question. that's only being asked semi-satirically. How much would a corporation have to offer us for us to accept a buyout of the channel?
And like are we still there?
They get full ownership,
Oh, wow.
but we get a lump sum.
But do we get to still participate in the channel, or is it just they make the content from now on?
Well,
I
so
think-
that's the thing, is it'll be up to them.
It sounds like
whether
they
wanna
decide
keep
the
us.
direction of the content. So, like, at that point, like, we're not guaranteed a spot.
So are we talking a contract situation?
Basically, how much money would you need to sell out?
Right now, I just need, like, a
And just
Snickers
start
bar.
something, just... yeah. Well, that's because they've emptied your bank accounts,
Yeah.
and that's all
I'm
that's all the
desperate,
change
man.
you have in your cup holder.
I have this is a dumb answer, but it's hard to give you a number. So my number, quote unquote, would be enough so that I don't have to worry anymore.
Fair enough. Fair
Like,
enough.
if I can continue living exactly the way I do now, slightly improved, then I'd be good. So let's say a lump sum, something I could invest with.
Okay.
I don't think... I think it'd have to be a real fat stack of money for
Yeah.
me to be willing to part with it right now.
That's fair.
Because
I mean, we could just start another
we
channel.
could.
That's another thing. Like, 'cause I wasn't gonna go to the easy route because I could just take the money and then just be like, all right, guys, we're leaving this channel. Wink. We're going to this channel, and that's it. All our
I
subscribers
mean, that's
can
happened
just
a
follow
lot
us.
Yeah,
in
that's
YouTube
true.
history. So I just had this funny thought that this secret like corporation that's buying us out is actually one of the four of us.
Oh,
And we're like I come to you guys and I'm like, I will pay you guys $100,000 each, but you no longer can make content for the channel. It's solely mine.
sure, yeah, sure. Like, so can I get a check or?
I would look at you and I'd be like, "Are we still gonna play D&D on the weekends?"
Oh, sure,
Oh, then, yeah,
absolutely.
here you
And
go.
maybe I'll bring you on as guest stars.
All right.
The cameo appearance.
He just wants to hear his own
Whoa.
voice more.
Let's not be ambitious, okay?
Yeah.
What, John?
Nothing.
Ambitious?
Just
I think we can park this one in the harbor.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've had a bit of fun.
Yeah, if you guys in the comments, we didn't talk about comments. There weren't a lot of comments. We got something from Colin Sausages. What did he say? He was lauding Chris for his participation.
Yes.
Yes.
That was a couple of episodes ago.
Was it?
That was on the football episode.
Oh,
That was
With
at
Brady.
at the point of this posting, that'll be 3 weeks.
did we get any comments on
Or
our
maybe not.
racially insensitive Wakanda Forever video?
For me.
Right.
I don't know if you saw that, but I saw that the video got posted, and I'm like, wow, that thumbnail is insensitive and very inappropriate.
And then it was
And
your
then I
idea.
listened to the podcast and realized that it was my idea. Egg on
That's
my face.
incredible. That is incredible.
Forgot that.
there's a
I
comment.
want that to happen to me.
I told.
there's a comment on one of the Quarry videos.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
That just says nice Shia LaBeouf reference. And it's the one that I named. Your leg. It's caught in a bear trap.
It's paying off.
It did it. It got a view.
It was a good bit.
Well,
Oh man.
I actually want to know if you got to the end of this podcast, like, I could see a world where once a month or something, because I am so fascinated in true crime, and I love talking about it. I love ranting about the stuff I like. I love ranting about the stuff that I enjoy learning about, and I could see myself preparing a thing to rant about for this podcast for like 20 minutes. every month.
I've thought about something similar
Yeah.
to actually like come in with talking points and
Hold on a
not be
second.
completely unprepared.
Hold on a second.
That is completely different than what
We have
had.
4 weeks in a month, and there's 4 members of this podcast.
Oh, so you're thinking like a themed episode
Yeah.
per month.
Yeah.
Everybody comes in.
Everybody gets their own little corner, just like Shulk. Opposite of Shulk. On the
Okay.
top right corner, it's the Scott corner, Cody, John, Chris corner,
Okay.
once a month.
Wait, you get your own corner and we're all stuck in the same corner?
No. I was just,
Oh.
you can all
I was
be
gonna
shoved in the same corner if you'd like.
I have no
I was gonna
problem
say,
with
well,
that.
if the Shulk corner's up there, there's only 3 corners left.
Somebody's gonna have to share rather.
I'll share it with you,
I see.
Cody.
I'll take Shulk.
Oh,
Oh,
She doesn't want to.
You're gonna shack up with Shulk.
She does not
Chris.
want to share with you.
I
This
would
is
like to
not
shack up
consensual.
with
Yeah, she does not consent to that share
Alright.
situation. Either way, I like that idea that we just came up with at the end of this podcast.
If our listeners think that's a good idea, leave a comment, all one of you.
2.
And we have varied enough interests. Like I like true crime and
You have the one person that keeps talking about
huh?
talking about what is it? What was it? The I don't remember anymore. It
Wow,
doesn't
great
matter.
job, John.
What?
We have varied enough interests. I like true crime and that kind of area of stuff. John likes sports. Cody likes everything, I guess.
I could probably find something to talk about.
And Chris
And
is present.
You guys aren't going to want to talk about poetry.
If you can give me a compelling 20 minutes,
Sure,
I'll listen
I
to you
can
talk
talk
about
about
whatever.
anything for 20 minutes, Chris.
yeah.
Okay.
With sports, it'll be hard for me.
Chris, I'd like to
You
remind you
did pretty well
that
with the Tom Brady
in-
discussion.
I just didn't say a lot.
Yes, John?
I'd like to remind you that in most of our startups of the podcast, within like 5 minutes, we've derailed 3 times.
True.
I like
True.
the I
And
like
it
the
makes
idea
us-
that at the beginning of each podcast, it's like a wrestling match to see who gets the helm.
Yeah.
Well, I keep trying to so I can talk more.
Right.
And you
You'll
keep
get there.
taking
You
it
just gotta
from
show a
me.
little bit
That's
more
because I don't
muscle.
want to give you the easy out of just saying, "Oh, I participated." I said, "Welcome everyone to In the Buff."
No, that's not me being like, I participated. That's me trying to get in the mood and participating.
yourself that.
It's no, Scott. The transitions are like the segues. That's where he
Right.
participates.
So I've heard a little thing about the end of this podcast. Isn't that interesting? You guys want to talk about that?
I'm actually busy.
I stopped
Who do you
recording.
think talked
I stopped
more, me
recording.
or Chris today?
Goodbye, everybody.
I didn't. I guess I'm all alone now. Oh, did everybody stop
I'm still here.
recording? Okay.
I didn't.
No.
Did you?
Cody, I'm
Did you,
scared.
John?
I have 14 unread messages.
John, I wish you the best of luck. I wish you the best of luck in Arizona.
I love you guys.
Goodbye, friend. They've already gone.